Hi, guys. My name is Andrew Banara, and this is On the Reel, a filmmaking podcast by VFS. I'm here with Victoria Segura. How are you, Victoria?
I'm good.
Good. And as stated, you are an assistant director, but you're basically not my exclusive assistant director, but you have been my assistant director for most of my film projects. If I can get you as an assistant director, I try to get you as my assistant director.
Yeah.
So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good.
How's your day?
I've been having a very good day. This is Valentine's Day. So
It's Valentine's Day of recording, yes.
for recording, yeah. And so I think this is very cute and sweet that we're doing it together on this day.
I know, right? Yeah. This is kind of sweet.
So yeah, I'm having a good day.
Okay, so what got you into assistant directing?
So while in film school at NMSU, I just kind of fell into it. I originally thought I was going to do like cinematography or even editing. And at the end of certain semesters, we all have like these final projects that we do together. And I did 10 of them in one semester. Like it was a lot. But on a lot of them, my friends, no one had assistant directors. Everyone wanted to, be the director or the DP or whatever. So I just kind of fell into it because my friends just begged me. And so I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but here I am. And it actually worked out really well. I had to fail a lot. I had to fuck up a lot on my friends' sets, but it just started clicking. It kind of just... I didn't even know that this was a position that people do, and it just falls in line with my lifestyle because I have ADHD, so I have to do things a certain according to way, and if I don't do it those ways, then I just I do nothing that day. So assistant directing, it just made sense.
So if you have ADHD and you love film, be an assistant director.
Well, yes. If you want to learn how to live well with the ADHD, assistant directing is a good way to go towards that. If you don't want to do self-improvement, then you're fucked as an AD because there's way too many things that ADHD would hold you back from, like time management or making large lists of things to get done within a specific time frame, keeping other people in order and keeping the flow going so that you get things done in that day. It saved me with my ADHD, but it might not be for everyone. I hear a lot of people don't enjoy it.
So what's the most challenging part of being an assistant director?
Okay, so the most challenging would be, I would say there's two separate parts. It's for prep and then actual filming days. With prep, the most challenging is finding a schedule that works with actors' availabilities as well as location availability. You also have to take into account if there's stunt days, if there's high DG count days, and then overall by the end of the week, if there's night shoots, you probably want to have those closer to the end of the week, as well as have a proper turnaround time each night or at the end of the week. So you could start at a good time on Monday of the next one. But that's just prep. I would say the hard part while filming is when you have to push the director or the DP to move on. Or even sometimes actors, they feel that if they could just get another take in, they'll really get it on that one. But, when you're 7 takes in, it's got to be one of those.
Yeah, honestly, that is a massive thing that I've dealt with. When we're dealing with time and especially when there's money involved and we have to finish, let's say we only have 1 day on location and the actor is trying, their best to get the performance. It is very tough. And I've had that happen numerous times with the actor will even say maybe we can reshoot. And I'm thinking, no, we cannot reshoot. There is no reshooting.
Yeah.
So that is really good.
Yeah. And on top of that, I just worked a recent set where the location times, we had hard outs, tail lights out by this 9 p.m. And there's definitely those type of challenges, but it's just... Yeah, I would say those are probably the hardest bit.
Well, typically because, on those specific sets, when you have hard out times, typically on indie film sets, I feel like there is some leeway. that is kind of a stressful thing. How do you manage that on those hard timeouts when they're trying to at least squeeze every dime into the time?
Yeah, I mean, if it's a lower budget, it's more of simply just like being upfront and being like, guys, we have 3 hours, you have 4 more scenes. Like, what are you going to do? Which that would be an awful situation to be in. But yeah, it's just being about keeping the communication up with the producers as well as the main crew that's filming. Keep everyone realistic. Like, this is how much time we have left to do it. You need to move on if you want to finish tonight properly. And because if it's low budget, then more than likely you don't have the money to come back another day or even possibly even have the opportunity for reshoots. With a higher budget production, it's a little bit more nuanced because then people have money to play with. So it makes my work harder because let's say if the DP or the director or even a producer is saying, no, you know what, I want this specific scene to be just right. Like, it's like, I want the emotional parts to hit and I don't want us to be sloppy with the lighting. I mean, if there's money for it, okay, then I just have the discussion about, okay, well, do you want to keep going? Do you want to reset for this scene on the next day? Which is not something you really want to do even with high budgets, but there's more of a conversation to be had when there's more money involved. But lower indie budgets, it's just straight to the point.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of pressure. Speaking of pressure, what's your secret staying organized under pressure?
Well, it's really good when you have a good team. So it's very wonderful. I've worked it where I don't have a second AD, and so I have to do everything. The less of a team I have, the more guerrilla style I have to go. But yeah, if I have a second AD, a second for maybe high VG count days, that's wonderful. That's yes. But yeah, second AD just to help out with just all the call sheets, keeping people updated, updating actors with any scenes changes or anything like that. And also having good PAs. I mean, if you have a team and they're just willing to learn, if they're green, that's great, that's fine, because at least I have someone that we can mold, and then as the days go forward, they'll get better and better each day. But definitely a strong PA group is always a bonus. And then on top of it all, I have a mentor that he lived life kind of, I mean, he's doing great. He's making money. He's living it up. He's still working huge sets, but it was almost at the expense of his health and his body. One of the things he taught me is that if you don't take care of yourself today, then you won't be able to take care of yourself tomorrow. And that involves like the high level stress that you receive from these type of sets, because it's someone else's money. It's everyone's time. It's a lot of it. I mean, we're all working cycle that if one of us is lazy, then the rest of us kind of have to pick up the slack. But with assistant directing, it is a bit more like everyone is relying directly to you to keep them up, so that their jobs are easier. It's a hard thing to remember, and it's something that it takes work. And you lose and you learn, and you just got to keep brushing off your knees and getting back up there when you fall. But it's something that you should take seriously, especially with assistant directing, with any type of film work. But it's important to remember to take care of yourself first. Remember that at the end of the day, it's a silly story, and though it may mean a lot to some people, your health and your well-being will always matter more than whatever story you need to tell.
That's cool. And I respect that a lot. I think it's really easy for especially young filmmakers to really push themselves. And we've done it.
Yeah, I mean, when you're younger, it's way easier to, abuse your body a bit, because you don't wake up with like the creaking joints or anything like that. But I mean, yes, that's what we did when we were young. Yeah. It just didn't matter who was going to be on that set. It doesn't matter how many, we could just do it. But you feel it.
Yeah. I try to incorporate Casey as much as I can into all my podcasts. Yeah. And so a little story that he told me, or something that we were talking about, is how he always had a crick in his shoulder, or like there's that little shoulder tingle that he gets after a big set.
The tingle, no, that's like nerves talking to
Yeah, and I just think it's funny because the other day, or in recent memory, you said you had the shoulder.
Yeah, my shoulder hurts right now.
And I was just thinking, like, wow, that's like as you get older, that's like a film injury, the shoulder pain. So shout out to Casey.
I haven't met you, Casey, but you sound wonderful.
Casey's incredible. So what's a typical day look like for you as an assistant director?
I mean, again, it's a little bit of a different situation because if it's a smaller budget, maybe I don't have a full team, maybe we don't even have walkies. And if that's the case, then my day starts off with constant laps. Is just checking in, make sure the DP is already instructed. We have our safety meeting first off. Okay, yeah, let me start it over. You start off with a safety meeting. You update everyone on what rooms or locations you'll be in this day. If there's a company move, you update people about like where the bathroom will be, where crafty and lunch will be. And then you move on to checking in with the DP, making sure that he and his crew are already aware of like where we're starting, what's happening in the scene first off, whose coverage, or if we're starting with a wide, those kind of things. Then you go in to check with hair and makeup and sound and see how much time they'll need with how many actors we have. And then checking back and forth to see if that time was accurate, if they need more time. If camera finishes up before HMU and wardrobe are done with our actors, maybe we pull them for a little bit to do some blocking and then get them back in the chair so that the camera and lights can continue to be set up. So that's pretty much the way I would start my days if it was, lower budget. But with a bigger budget, we'll start the day, same thing with a safety meeting, updating everyone on the locations and all that jazz, what we'll be doing that day, if there's any safety hazards to be mentioned. And then I'll just go to the specific area that we're filming, and I am standing there ready with as camera and lights are getting set up. And then I'll have like my second or a key PA getting the actors through their works, and they'll keep us updated on the walkie. And what's beautiful is sometimes the setup time for camera and lights will be pretty much matching when our actors can be ready, like 100. So when that happens, it's a beautiful thing because then we can get straight into it and we'll get our first shot in.
You are saying 100 and you're saying all this film lingo, and that's something that I really like when it comes to how you know someone is experienced is through the language they speak. There is a specific film language. But just to keep it silly and fun, what are some really unique ways of saying, you need to go to the restroom?
I knew you were
I love it so much.
You got a 10-1.
A 10-1.
If you got a pee, you got a 10-1. That way you can announce it on the walkie. It is important to know that, though, because let's say me as a first AD, if I just go to the bathroom and I don't tell anyone, then everyone's ready to go and they're like, where the fuck is she? No, you don't do that. PAs actually don't even do that. Like if I set up a PA to do a lockup, like let's say to hold off a sidewalk from letting people cross, like, they got to do a little schmoozing and talking to them, be like, hey, if you don't mind just waiting. But if my guy just goes and leaves because he's got a 10-1, God forbid 10-2, then it sucks. Then we ruin a shot, and that's money right there. So something as simple as letting people know over the walkie when you gotta go to the bathroom. That matters.
So 10-1 is ping, 10-2.
10-2 is not a real thing. It's just everyone knows if you got a 10-1. Most people 10-2 after lunch. But no, I don't think it's an actual real thing. People say 10-2. That's because it's like we're close to the end of our days and everyone's starting to get a little comfortable on the walkie. But 10-2 is not a real thing, I don't think.
So what other sayings do you know that you can teach young filmmakers that are important?
To teach young filmmakers, when actors are 100, that means that an actor is through hair, makeup, they're in their wardrobe, and they have already been mic'd up. So that is an actor is completely 100. So if you're a PA and you're learning the ropes, that's a good one to know. So like if someone were to ask you like how long until this actor is 100, then they go to hair, they go to makeup, they check in on wardrobe, and they check up in sound, and they kind of add up that total amount of time. So then they say 25 minutes till 100. So that's really good to know. That way you keep the AD informed and use a very simple communication on those updates. So that's a good one to know. There's also like on the day, which is just people are talking about maybe a scene that's going to happen later on. And instead of like saying, oh, scene 42, the food truck night scene, whatever, it's like instead of like talking about it, they just say, well, this isn't now. On the day, this is what we're going to do for that. And so like if people are like at lunch and they're talking, like if you don't want to like freak out someone about like what is that happening right now? Like no, on the day we'll be doing this. And I don't know about any others.
What are important things that you carry as your kit of choice? Like what's in your carry-ons when you AD?
As a first, it's just my laptop at home. I shouldn't have to bring that one onto set, but I'm a tablet, iPad kind of person, so
Any specific softwares that you use?
Oh, yeah. For starters, people can use things like Synchronize. That's a website that you can use for free, and that helps you create like one-liners, that helps you make shooting schedule breakdowns. There's also Casper, so that's another free, it's a program you can download onto your laptop, and you can make call sheets off of it. The really cool thing about Casper is if you learn it properly, it's like the next thing you would want to use before moving on to Movie Magic. So Casper, it's just like using Excel. It's got a bunch of pre-made formulas in there. And so instead of like writing in every single little thing, there's just small little areas where you just adjust it. Like this is now day 2, and these are now the scenes that we're doing on day 2. And in the formula of the call sheet, it does a lot of the work for you. So if I have my breakdown completed properly, then scene 4 will show up on the call sheet, and then down below in the department notes, it'll say like the props notes for scene 4. It'll say like if there's any car vehicles. It'll just go down the whole line of like camera, light, sound, like if there's BG for that scene, just a bunch of stuff like that. Those are really useful programs to learn and practice on. Like definitely take your time to learn how to use the formulas, but the best advice I can give is you just got to use it and kind of learn how to fuck up with it and take those fuck ups and learn for the next set with those programs. But as a first, that's pretty much what I use. That, my laptop, my tablet, because I like the call sheets, the sides, the shooting schedule for that day, like the shot list for that day. I just download all of those onto the files in my on my iPad, because then if you're in the middle of the desert and there's no internet, they don't have a MiFi for you, then the tablet still you could still use all the files that you have saved on there.
That's cool.
You could also bring things like tampons, pads, a small type of like medicine, like a small kind of first aid kit with some type of medications that could be used for everyone, like stomach ache stuff or things for headaches or dehydration. Liquid IVs I've seen that save like a lot of people on different sets.
So it's just like toiletries for actors or people on set?
Yeah, I would say, the pads and the tampons, even if you're a guy, like I've had it before where an actor wanted to like walk away from set. Like she just wanted to take a stroll and go get some tampons, but I knew she was going to be needed very soon. And it's not like you're going to tell someone, no, you can't go get what you need, you know? So that's just like the little extra things that I've found makes my life easier. And I know there's more that I'm not thinking about. Like you can go as far as having your own printer paper. If you get like
You have a mini printer too, right? Like a portable printer?
Yeah, at first I thought it was a good investment because it was small, it was light, but the fucking ink, it goes so expensive. Yeah. And it did work for one of our sets, a haunting.
The haunting, yeah.
But at the expense of we sent like a PA to go buy
so much ink,
like
and
so
paper.
much ink,
yeah,
probably like every 2 days, but it was, I don't know. Yeah. So there's a reason that on big feature sets, some people even have 2 printers. They have like a huge printer that's usually very fast that they just do in black and white. And that's for all to use. That's probably if you're a second, that's probably what you'll be using to put out the prelim call sheets every day. And then there's like another one that's probably not as fast, but it can do color, and that one's available for like the art department if they need to print out like any signage or whatever they want. But honestly, like those could be 2 investments that you could use to add onto your kit. And, now you're getting that extra bit of cash compared to them like, buying and returning a printer or renting it from some other person. Like, so those would be good things to use. Also, like buy yourself really good pens. Really nice pens, like black and red pens, and those you share with no one. You write your name on them, you keep them close to your heart, like you share them with no one, because those are for like you and the first AD. If you want to have them get notes, like handing them a red pen is like.
I will say though, sometimes having spare pens that are disposable are really good for, you're known as that guy or that girl or that person who's saved the day just for a little bit.
Yeah, that's like that, like a big pen, with like ones you could buy a shit ton of. You could put those on display, and that's like a nice little, sure, take a pen. But there's also a lighter. You should have a lighter on you, whether it's just a little one or that you could keep in your pocket, or in the kit itself have like one of those longer like barbecue lighters, like. Because somehow someone will always, like, once upon a time had a lighter and loses it. And now you're waiting. Your time is being spent because someone needs to go on a run for a lighter. Or you have to ask every single crew who the fuck smokes here, who smokes weed, who smokes cigarette. Like, someone's got to have a lighter on this set. So those are good to add into a second AD kit.
What's the most rewarding part of their job?
The most rewarding part of doing assistant directing, I would say, is... for me personally, I feel like I'm a little bit of a creative. Like I like to do poetry. I like to paint a little bit. But I have just never been able to truly grasp involving my whole life. Like my brain just doesn't work like that creatively. And it is very beautiful when, you have talents that follow along with assistant directing, and you're able to use them to help people tell their stories, or paint a beautiful picture. And those little moments when you are able to give this actor enough time to, hey, I need to step away for 5 minutes, I need to get myself in the zone, I will walk up to you, or I'll touch your shoulder or something, I'll let you know when I'm ready to enter the scene. And everyone's just like ready. Like you tell everyone, shut the fuck up. You tell everyone to be serious. But this person's going to walk through any moment. And they walk in and they're just that different person. And it's sometimes it's beautiful and sometimes it's heartbreaking. And it's like, you did your job and you did your best to be able to give someone this type of moment. And that's great. That feels really good. And
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's very beautiful. Typically, and this is for the people who don't know about filmmaking, typically in the movies, which is very strange, you see the director kind of calling out orders and saying, lights, camera, action. The general audience thinks the director does that. When it's actually the opposite, or not the opposite, but the assistant director, the AD, is actually responsible for the person for saying that. So what are some misconceptions about assistant directing?
I think people just think that assistant directors are usually assholes, or that they like to yell and be cruel. I think that was like an old generation thing, and I think our generation doesn't really stand for that anymore.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever tried to be like that. It's sometimes it's a power thing, but I like to think that I am firm but fair. Yeah, I've never really truly yelled at someone. I've definitely pushed people, and that's what you have to do with this job. It's literally just solving problems when the problems arrive, because they will always arise no matter what kind of set you're on. And so, I mean, assistant directors actually have to be like very cool-headed and not react when the change happens.
Yeah, like that calm under pressure.
Yeah. Because you have to be busy like thinking about how to fix this, what to change, like who you got to talk to like how to make that happen.
Yeah, how to get the ball rolling. Yeah. Typically, the assistant directors that I've worked with, they've actually been very not quiet, but very calm, like you said. I think that's a perfect encapsulation of what you're trying to say. They'll usually go up to me and they'll say, "Hey, we need to get this done, guys. Let's get it done." But it's never yelling. I've never experienced an assistant director that's yelling at the crew. Actually, no, that's a lie. I had that happen once, and that was at NMSU, the Creative Media Institute, CMI. One of my brother's fellow alumni, she was yelling at everyone. But we've had this conversation before with that specific girl that I'm talking about. She was very mean to me. You know what I'm talking about. And so she took her job very seriously. To be fair, she's a good AD.
I was going to say, like, I mean, the truth is at the end of the day, if the job gets done, then it's done, and you can't judge that. But yeah, I do still think that that's just, it's effective, but it's not as necessary.
And it's not necessary.
I mean, unless you have like a real shit crew, like unless it's like guys that just want to fuck around and people that aren't taking the scene seriously, like, then no, yeah, you probably do have to crack the whip. Like some order needs to be restored, but
how do you balance that?
It's hard. Yeah, like I won't lie. Like it's sometimes hard to make friends.
As an AD, it's a very lonely job.
Sometimes it is, but also because sometimes like you get your little breaks, but I always have to be like in ear range of like when the DP is like getting set up and everything. Like I could have this conversation, but I'm also like only halfway in because I'm like, and then, oh, okay, guys, that's good. Let's fucking get it. Let's bring actors back out here and everything. Like, so that's a little hard. Like mingling during set is not something I mean, some people do it, and I maybe I haven't mastered that part yet. But, and then of course, like the very beginning, everyone's like a little like extra on the good side. And like, of course, I'm trying to like, I want people to like me. So at the beginning of the set. So where was I going with this?
Yeah, sometimes it's not about being liked. It's about getting the job done.
Yeah. And, I mean, I've been lucky enough to, like board films, for example, because I've worked on so many sets with you guys, like I have made like lifelong friends on those sets that I still love today. And I'm very happy and grateful for those sets. But yeah, I just worked a recent set for 2 weeks, and I like barely made friends, maybe like at the very last 3 days. Like, people were just like, yeah, it's fucking Tori. She's going to tell us what to do. And, like, I'm like, yeah. But that's, like, the extent of how far I can mess around. I've seen other people handle it way better. But the way my brain works, I have to stay, like, very, like, linear. And
yeah, you lock in.
Yeah, I have to.
You definitely lock in. I think that's why I enjoy working with you as an AD. And I always say this. Every set that I have, if I can get you on board as my AD, I do. Of course, you're in very high demand, so it's hard to get you as my AD, and that it shows when I don't have you on set. And it's funny because with Anthony, I told him, I said, "Do you remember how it felt when she was on set?" And he was like, "Yeah, I wasn't stressed at all." And I said, "Exactly. Get her as an AD." So that's something that I strive for, and that's kind of what it is. It's just it's time management and it's allowing yourself to breathe. And I think you do that excellently. So what's a common mistake? Speaking of which, and I'm going to put myself on blast just a little bit. Hopefully, I don't get burned too much. But what's a common mistake that you see directors make as an assistant director?
Well, I've worked with like directors that like this set is like their directorial debut, so they're like a little bit more green. And in that instance, I've seen directors be a little indecisive with what they want from that scene or from a specific actor. I've seen it before where like they're just a bad director and they just say like be bad, be a bad boy, like that gives nothing to actors. And then when the actors try to take in those words and do whatever the fuck they think that means, that delays us because then he's like, no, well, I want you to be bad. And
yeah, so what does that mean? What does bad mean?
Yeah. So I've seen it like that. I've seen it also where directors and DPs. I've worked on a whole feature where like the last week or last 2 weeks, the DP and the director were just not on speaking terms, which like. I wasn't the first for that one, but I was just like, well, how do you even do that?
Yeah, that is so funny. That's like, that makes me feel a little bit more better. Because it's funny because I fight with Jorge all the time. And for those listening, Jorge is my brother. He's also my business partner, and he's the co-founder of BFS. Yeah. So typically when I shoot something, he's my DP, and we always argue. And you're used to that by now because we've had you around for almost.
I will say, like, at least working with you and Jorge, I know how to work with you guys. Like, I know, like, how much of an expected time you guys need to get to a first shot, and I know how much you guys need to talk about a scene that maybe we hadn't, like, been able to do in a tech scout or something, like. So at least that helps. And I mean, there's always chaos, but in that sense, because I know you both, it's like controlled chaos, because we always do get it fucking done. But I don't know, like, I don't know too much about like bad directors. There's just a wide variety, and the more you work with people.
I guess common mistakes that you see directors make, either that's poor planning or.
Yeah, I would say probably the biggest mistake would be asking, like, on the day. Well, yeah, asking on the day to like change a scene to like, can we actually film on this road instead of that road? Like, that's not my job, but that's like, oh, what are you doing, dude? Like, we talked about it. We were here at this location. Like, how could you be changing it on the day? Like on the day is in the moment. That's like that one was a bit of a wild one for me. I'm not really here to like judge a director on how good your skill is. Like, whether if you're green or not, I think the bigger thing is just learning about them. If you worked with them before, then you shouldn't have to repeat similar mistakes. But if you're new with them, if they're new entirely, whether I'm a first or a second AD, there's definitely adjustments I like to make the next day over. So if I learn on day one that the director likes to do 10 takes per shot, then a discussion needs to be had so that we can make those adjustments for the next day. Maybe we combine shots. Maybe we cut more shots. Or maybe we have him talk with his actors more. I don't know. It's about finding resolutions. And if you're a second AD, then you're really going to want to be best friends with like the HMU and wardrobe and sound. If you know that sound takes a little longer to mic them up, maybe it's a man, maybe he's not as comfortable with like getting through a woman's body and everything, their clothing, then maybe you know to take that into account each day. I used to write notes on each person and say like, this person genuinely 25 in the chair, 8 minutes with wardrobe. Oh, but this is a guy, so that's 5 minutes with sound and like.
So you do those calculations.
Yeah, and so you want to kind of learn because even though like we're all on this set together, there's different sections of film sets. There's the guys that are actually filming. There's the guys behind the scenes prepping for the next days. There's the HMU and wardrobe people that are completely getting the actors ready to be in that scene that day, on the day.
So you mentioned second AD and first AD. What for, again, like I said, for the people that don't know, what is a first AD and what's a second AD and what's the difference?
Okay, so a first AD is the person that completely makes the schedule prior to filming. So your prep days is organizing the schedule. Like I said earlier, like making it work for the locations availability, actors availability. If there's specific days that can only be within like week 2 or not, like if it's a specific location that can only happen at the end of like week 4, you have to like really use like this, it's like making a puzzle and like making these days work together. And then when you're actually filming as a first, like I said, you're just right there constantly on the set, like communicating with a lot of different people, seeing how much time they'll need to get prepped, then keeping others updated on how much time they actually have, or lying to them to make them go faster. A second AD is a person that maybe they're there, like in the conversation while you're working on the schedule during prep, but they're really there to work on like the call sheets and also keeping the actors, maybe even the background actors, updated on like these are your current dates. Here's like the scenes that we'll be filming those days. These are our off days or whatever they need. So the second AD during prep keeps the actors and BGs updated. They also could be the ones scheduling rehearsals with the director and the actors. Schedule times with like wardrobe and the director to get together to figure out what outfits the director likes best. Could also do that with if they don't have enough in the budget, like with casting, then the second AD could even be the person that's dealing with contacting all the potential BG. And if the director is really involved, then you also have to put them all like a display of their pictures, maybe on an Excel sheet, and you show it to the director. So the director could be like, "Oh, I really like this guy with the eye patch. Yeah, let's make sure he's involved." And that could go as far as even including picture vehicles. Like you might be the one that reaches out to find like people that might have these vehicles. That's a little bit more of like for sure that's a lower budget kind of deal. But it's kind of a wide range for second ADs. It's not just the call sheets or like keeping the actors updated and everything. There's a bit more to it. But yeah, once you're filming, pretty much your job is, yes, call sheets, updating actors if there's any changes, letting the future actors know, the ones that haven't started working yet, letting them know, hey, like your dates are still for this. Let me know if you have any questions.
So just communication.
Keeping up communication. And then also if it's like a union thing, or if the actors are SAG, you might need to do production reports as well, which is a whole nother thing. But it's pretty much utilizing the notes that you get from Scripty, as well as using your team, like your PA team, to help you keep track, like in a group chat, like this actor landed at 5:03. He went through breakfast and now he's in the chair at 5:18, whatever. But yeah, it's definitely more on the backside. As a second, you're less involved with the set, but your job is truly to make sure that the first AD doesn't have to worry about that stuff, so that they can do their job properly.
And how do you handle unexpected challenges like during a shoot?
You be ready for the unexpected, because it shouldn't be unexpected. Something always will happen on your set. Things will always change, or deals will fall out. It's a bit of a vague question.
I mean, it's problem solving, right?
It's definitely, yeah. I mean, it's being cool-headed and knowing that when the changes happen, let's just figure it out together. What do we got to do to make it work? You definitely, you feel the pressure, or you make other people feel the pressure when you are nervous or stressed about it. Because again, you're the man. You're the guy that, if you're the first, you're the guy that's like making this all really happen. And if you're the second, you're the guy in the chair, you know, like, so.
That's a cool way to say it. The second's the guy in the chair, and then the first is the person in it. That's so cool. I don't think I've ever heard anything like that. But it
makes you feel a little cooler.
Yeah.
We're not just like the guy sitting, 8 hours at a time before you like stand up and like stretch.
Your watch reminds you, your Apple Watch saying you have to stand. Like, I just stand. Okay, cool. And so we'll do some closing notes. What would you give advice to young assistant directors trying to get involved? Take your time. This question can be as long as you'd like.
You're talking about involved just like anywhere they live, or involved in LA?
Just someone who's trying to get started as an assistant director.
I would say just get on as many sets as you can, first off, because if you're not doing film school, I mean, I went to CMI, like you were talking about.
New Mexico State University.
I got a bachelor's degree in filmmaking. I thought that I needed to get a master's in order to be anybody or do anything. But again, like a mentor, I have 2 mentors, and they both said that at the end of the day, you have to be on as many sets as you can. You have to make as many mistakes as you need to in order to not repeat them. And always remember, it doesn't matter how old you get, you can always learn something new. This set, you're in the fucking desert, and you learned about the real danger of heat strokes and dehydration. But on this other set, you're on a fucking boat, and, seasickness is a real thing. And, there's rattlesnake wranglers over here, but there's fucking shark wranglers over here. Like, you can always learn something new on any set that you jump on. So always take that into account, that you are always a student. It doesn't matter how good you get at this. For someone young, I would also say networking is very important. It's very important because more people will learn your name if you stand out, if you do a good job, or if you're just a good person that is just really invested in learning and just working hard, then people will remember you. But it's also important for you to learn, like, the type of people around you. Like I said, like, I think our generation is changing the game. I don't think people put up with as much bullshit or assholes as they used to.
Yeah, I agree.
But these people are now more sneaky. It's less about being a direct asshole and more about learning about these, like, secret assholes, because there's people that, like, will love bomb you, like, crediting you as amazing, and saying that you're going to go so far and they'll be able to help you out, and they just drag you along. And that goes along with, like, production companies themselves, like some small ones or big ones. Sometimes they'll egg you on and say, yeah, dude, like, I think you're doing really good. Like, we've worked like 4 sets with you now. We love you every time. But this next one, we're also going to keep you as a PA. Like, and I just learned this from a friend recently, but he's really amazing. He's been in film for way too long, and he's constantly been a PA. And he broke down, like, exactly what you need to do as a second AD, just like word for word. If it was a test, he would have aced it. And he's telling me that, like, no one has given him a shot to do. I mean, I don't even know if assistant directing is what he wants to do truly, but the fact that he's been a PA for so long, it really shows me that, like, you need to find, like, people that ask you, what do you want to do? What are you looking to do? Like, those are the people you want to stick with, because those are the people that, like, will actually try to elevate you. and not just string you along, because it's like it's like the devil wears Prada. Like it's a true thing. Like if you can sometimes get wrapped up in a position that maybe you don't like, or you could get wrapped up in doing PA work for the rest of your time, and
But
really
you become so good at it. It's hard to it's hard to promote you because you're just so efficient at that job.
like why would, like in Devil Wears Prada, why would she want to like elevate her secretary when she's got a great secretary? She knows everything about her. So why would she let her grow and evolve? Like, no. So just be mindful of that, I would say. You need to take your licks. You need to fall on your ass. You need to get back up. You need to get on as many sets as you need to in order to truly learn how to fail and how to do it right, not repeat mistakes. And you really need to learn your true friends. Like, making friends on set is important because connections is important. But know when to walk away. Know when is enough, and that one led nowhere, but tomorrow will lead somewhere. So I will say, yeah.
I love that. And where can people find you? Say your ridiculous Instagram.
I haven't even posted on Instagram in forever. My Instagram account is Mrs. Will Smith. That's MRS period Will Smith, because I loved him before Jada did. Yeah, I don't have my website anymore. So, yeah,
IMDb.
yeah, and my IMDb is Victoria M. Segura. You can see a couple things I did there. It's not a big deal. But
Slight flex, humble flex on how much work you've done.
I tried. I mean, it's definitely not a lot. I think I've done
No, you did a couple features.
I think I've hit
a lot of shorts.
I've hit 10 features now, which feels good to know.
And you're doing a lot of verticals in LA right now.
Yeah. I don't know if verticals count. Someone told me that a vertical is technically like the length of a feature, but I don't know. Those things are like their own rodeos. Those are wild.
I mean, that's a completely different conversation on where film is going, which is pretty crazy. Because we've even spoken about this. Verticals are kind of becoming the new thing, rather than, because you're getting more vertical work than you are with like feature work, which is pretty crazy.
I mean, for sure, it's definitely harder to get onto bigger sets in LA without the right connections. I think that's something I still need to work on, which is making more connections myself. I've been in LA for about a year and a half now, and I can always make more friends and learn more from other sets. I definitely learned a lot from this recent set, so yeah.
Well, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming, and thank you for your knowledge.
Thank you for having me today.